Hello, Vermonters. Welcome to a little brook where my family and I have been dipping since I was, as long as I can remember, about 4 years old. Some things don't change. Right now, I'd like to talk to you, though, about something called gaslighting. And it's happening right now in Vermont. It's happening to people of any political persuasion who dare question the critical race theory and new racism being taught in Vermont schools. We're told that there's wrong with us and we're racist if we question it. Let me explain what gaslighting is. I learned about this a couple of years ago when I was speaking actually with a transgender girl who I love because I've known her since she was a little boy. And we were discussing sincerely but passionately the issue of physically assaulting people identified as Nazis. And part of the discussion was, well, how do you decide who's a Nazi? I mean, now a Confederate flag means a Nazi. Pretty soon, an American flag is going to be used to identify somebody as a fascist, I guess. But of course, there was that question. But the other question that I asked him was, well, if you start weaponizing people against white people for being white, and you start attacking people for being white, then the backlash against black people, those are the people who are going to suffer. And he said, stop gaslighting. She said, stop gaslighting me. So I didn't know what gaslighting meant, so I looked it up. And gaslighting comes from a play some years ago in which a character is deceiving his wife by turning the lighting is gaslighting, down over time, but telling her it's in her mind. All right, so reality is changing, but he's telling her it's in her mind. Reality is changing in the Vermont schools. They are reversing Martin Luther King. Instead of us being judged on our character, we're going to be judged on the color of our skin, including our school children. And I ask you to look into this for yourselves, because I'm being gaslighted. I'm being called a racist, even though I have a mixed-race son and a long history of supporting many black people in many ways. They don't seem interested in helping black people. They seem interested in indoctrinating our children into something that is really toxic, hateful, and ultimately very, very harmful and racist. And we're being gaslighted. You are. And so I ask you all to ask for a copy of the curriculum of your school's materials. You're entitled to under federal law. They can email it to you. Ask them what they're teaching about race. Find out for yourself. How about you ask your legislators, what is systemic racism and what evidence do you have to prove it? If you look at my articles, you'll see they don't have any. They actually manipulate the evidence and they're lying about Vermonters. But also, why don't you write a commentary to Vermont Digger and say, Vermont voted for Obama at the highest rate of any state in the country except Hawaii. In both elections, Vermont was the first state in the country and in the world as a Western country to ban slavery before everybody else. As much as you say how hateful it was, it didn't exist here in any significant numbers at all. And Vermont had the narrowest gap in incomes between black and white people in the whole country until 3 years ago. And now, H210 says that black people here are $10,000 poorer than they were median income a few years ago, and that's because of white supremacy in Vermont. No, it isn't. It's because they lie about the numbers. Write to Vermont Digger. Tell them about our abolitionist history, and write a commentary, and watch. They won't print it, because they will gaslight you. They will say that you're denying the systemic racism that they've never proven. So I ask you, Vermonters, to stand up and see if you're being gaslit. And don't be. Just find out for yourselves. This isn't funny stuff. And they use these terms all the time about those who question them. And I'm asking you, don't be fooled. Just find out for yourselves what's being taught in your schools and ask the simple questions and remember Martin Luther King, because that's the creed. And that doesn't make us racist if we believe in what Martin Luther King taught and died for. So thank you for listening. Nothing sweeter than Vermont liberty and Martin Luther King. Thank you very much. Have a great day.